Lionel Messi, one of the greatest footballers of all time, had lived a life that most people could only dream of. From the fields of Rosario, Argentina, to becoming the pride of Barcelona and later the face of Paris Saint-Germain, Messi's life was a fairy tale. He had won almost every football accolade there was to win, from the Ballon d'Or to league titles and Champions League trophies. Yet, on an ordinary day, when Messi wasn't thinking about football, his life was about to take an unexpected turn, one that would change everything. It all began when Messi, now in his early 30s and enjoying life away from the intense spotlight of Barcelona, decided to indulge in a different kind of game, a lottery. It wasn't something Messi usually did. He had never been one to buy into the idea of luck or fate deciding his destiny. But after hearing an ad on the radio about a massive jackpot that had been growing for weeks, Messi's curiosity got the best of him. The jackpot was rumored to be at an all-time high, and despite all his wealth, the idea of winning it intrigued him. It was something that transcended money. It was a rare, fleeting chance that felt too tempting to pass up. One evening, in a quiet moment after a training session, Messi walked into a local lottery shop near his home in Paris. He had just finished a light session, his mind was at ease, and he figured it wouldn't hurt to try his luck. As he filled out the lottery slip, he chuckled to himself. What were the odds? He was a man who had made a living through his skill, not his luck. A few days later, the draw took place. Messi had almost forgotten about it, but as the numbers were read aloud, his heart raced. One by one, the numbers on his ticket matched. The winning numbers. He could hardly believe it. The amount was astronomical, over 200 million euros. His phone buzzed, and when he checked, a text from his lawyer appeared. "Congratulations, Leo. You've won the lottery." Messi stared at the screen in disbelief. A rush of emotions hit him. The shock. The excitement. The confusion. What would he do with all that money? It wasn't as though he needed it. He had lived his life focused on football, but now, it was as if the universe had thrown an unexpected curveball at him. He didn't want to make a big fuss about it. In fact, he was determined to keep it low-key. He thought of donating a portion to various causes, perhaps something that would make a difference in Argentina or Europe. But first, he needed to claim his prize. The first obstacle appeared when he contacted the lottery officials to claim his winnings. Messi had assumed that the process would be simple. He would show proof of identity, fill out the necessary forms, and collect his prize. But things quickly took a strange turn when the representative from the lottery company, a stern woman in her 40s, informed him of a peculiar condition. "Mr. Messi," she began, "there is a limit to how much we can pay you." Messi raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" She continued, "We have a clause in our contract with the bookmakers that limits payout percentages. In your case, due to the sheer size of the prize, we can only pay you 40% of the total amount. The rest will be withheld. You can either accept this or forfeit your winnings entirely." Messi was stunned. "Wait, are you telling me that I won the lottery, and you're only giving me 40%? Why?" "It's part of the agreement with the company that provides the payouts." "It's not negotiable," the woman replied. Messi was confused. He had heard of certain terms and conditions, but this sounded more like a scam than anything legitimate. The idea that they could withhold the majority of the winnings seemed ludicrous. Still, he didn't want to jump to conclusions just yet. He decided to visit the lottery office the next day to seek clarification. When Messi arrived at the office, he was greeted by the same representative, but this time she had a different tone. The woman, noticing who he was, had clearly realized who her customer was. The atmosphere shifted from cold to warm. She even went as far as to ask for a picture, which Messi politely declined. She was trying to smooth things over, offering Messi a better deal if he signed the paperwork without any fuss. "Mr. Messi, we're such big fans of yours. We would be thrilled if you allowed us to publicize your win. Think of the exposure it would bring to the lottery. We'd be happy to make an exception for someone of your stature." At first, Messi didn't think much of it. He wasn't interested in the limelight for this. But he did want to understand why they were being so secretive about the other 60% of the winnings. After some back and forth, the woman finally cracked and admitted the truth: there was no legitimate reason for the withholding. The real reason? The bookmakers, who were behind the lottery's payouts, simply didn't want to honor the full prize. They had used their connections to create an elaborate scheme that would allow them to keep most of the money, hoping that the winners, especially someone like Messi, wouldn't notice. Messi's first instinct was to accept the offer. The money itself didn't matter to him. However, the injustice of it all stirred something deeper in him. Messi wasn't just going to sit back and let a system like this take advantage of unsuspecting people. He realized that he wasn't just an athlete anymore. He had a platform, a voice, and with that came responsibility. He stood up and told the woman, "I'm not going to let you take advantage of anyone. I'm taking this to the police." At first, the representative was taken aback. "Mr. Messi, we didn't mean any harm. Surely, you wouldn't want to make this public." "I don't care about being public," Messi replied, his voice firm. "But I will make sure that no one else gets scammed like this." The woman's face turned pale as Messi walked out of the office, his mind made up. He had just won the lottery, but now he had a new mission: to bring this bookmaker to justice, for the sake of everyone else who might fall victim to such a fraudulent system. As Messi made his way to the police station the next morning, he realized that this was bigger than himself. What started as an innocent lottery win was now a fight for fairness and transparency, not just for him, but for every person who played the game with hopes of changing their lives. The wheels were set in motion. The story, however, was just beginning. Messi's decision to take action shocked not only the lottery company but also the wider public. As the news of his complaint spread, many were in disbelief that a superstar like him, who already had more wealth and recognition than most people could imagine, would get involved in something as seemingly mundane as a lottery dispute. But to Messi, it wasn't about the money. It was about justice. It was about exposing a system designed to prey on people's hopes and dreams, a system that manipulated ordinary citizens into believing they could win life-changing sums of money, only to pull the rug from under them at the last moment. The police took Messi's case seriously. As soon as he presented the details of the shady lottery operation, an investigation was launched. What seemed like an isolated incident soon turned into a widespread probe as investigators uncovered a network of fraud involving multiple bookmakers and lottery operators. Messi's courage to speak up had unwittingly uncovered a massive conspiracy that affected thousands of unsuspecting players. The bookmakers' operation was far more complex than anyone had anticipated. They had carefully engineered the lottery system, ensuring that winners, especially those with high-profile tickets, would only receive a fraction of their winnings. The remaining sums were kept in limbo through convoluted legal clauses and technicalities, hoping that the average player wouldn't bother to contest the decision. However, Messi's fame turned the case into something larger. The media took notice, and soon, news outlets across the globe began to report on the case. The juxtaposition of a football legend standing up for fairness against a system of greed captured the public's imagination. This was no longer just about Messi winning a lottery, it was about the principle of justice, and the story resonated with millions of people who felt they had been wronged by similar shady dealings in their lives. Yet, as the media frenzy grew, Messi began to feel the weight of his decision. He hadn't wanted this to be a spectacle, he had simply wanted to do the right thing. But with every passing day, the pressure mounted. The bookmakers, realizing the gravity of the situation, tried everything they could to sway public opinion. They issued statements denying any wrongdoing, claiming that the system was perfectly legal and that the payout percentages were clearly outlined in the terms and conditions. Messi, however, was undeterred. He used his platform, not to increase his fame, but to shed light on the issue. He posted a video on social media, explaining his position with a calm and collected demeanor. "Look," he said, "I don't need the money. But this is bigger than me. It's about the millions of people who believe in this system and trust that the games they play are fair. What happened to me could happen to anyone. No one should ever feel cheated when they win. I'm not asking for special treatment, I'm asking for fairness." The video went viral. His sincerity resonated with people from all walks of life, not just football fans. People began to rally behind him, organizing protests outside lottery offices and bookmaker headquarters. The hashtags #Justice for Messi and #Fair Play in Gaming began trending across social media, with stories flooding in from people who had been cheated out of their winnings in the past. It was clear that the public wasn't just on Messi's side, they were standing up for what was right. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the police had begun to build a strong case against the bookmakers. They subpoenaed the company's financial records, revealing a web of questionable transactions, shady deals, and loopholes that the company had exploited for years. In addition to the lottery fraud, they discovered evidence of other illegal activities, including money laundering and even potential ties to organized crime syndicates. As the investigation intensified, the bookmakers tried to settle the matter quietly, offering Messi an undisclosed sum of money to drop the case. But Messi refused. "This isn't about money," he repeated, every time they tried to make an offer. "I want to make sure no one else goes through what I've been through." The pressure was mounting on the bookmakers, and soon, top executives within the company started to distance themselves from the scandal. They blamed rogue agents within the organization for the fraudulent activities, claiming they were unaware of the extent of the deception. But Messi wasn't buying it. He knew that this wasn't just an isolated incident, it was systemic. The entire company was built on a foundation of lies and manipulation, and it needed to be exposed. Months passed, and the legal battle continued. Messi's lawyers worked tirelessly, collaborating with law enforcement to dismantle the bookmakers' operations. The case was gaining momentum, and more victims were coming forward with their stories. What started as one man's effort to claim what was rightfully his had grown into a full-scale crusade for transparency and justice in the gaming industry. Finally, the day came when the bookmakers' executives were arrested. The charges were extensive: fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, and a multitude of other financial crimes. The company was dissolved, its assets frozen, and its leaders facing long prison sentences. For Messi, the victory was sweet, but it wasn't about the arrests or the closure of the company, it was about the change he had helped bring about. The ruling had a ripple effect throughout the gaming industry. Governments around the world began to scrutinize lottery and betting systems more closely, and new regulations were put in place to ensure that payout systems were fair and transparent. No longer could companies like the one Messi had exposed operate with impunity. The case was a landmark in consumer protection, and Messi had become a symbol of fairness, not just in sports, but in life. As the dust settled, Messi's life returned to a semblance of normalcy. But he wasn't the same man he had been before. The fight for justice had opened his eyes to a world of inequalities and hidden injustices that he had never fully seen. He continued to use his platform to support causes he believed in, whether it was fighting for the rights of children in Argentina, supporting environmental initiatives, or promoting transparency in all industries, including sports. In the aftermath, Messi donated a significant portion of his lottery winnings to charities around the world, focusing particularly on those in need in his home country of Argentina. He established scholarships, supported medical research, and funded education programs, ensuring that the money was used for good, helping the most vulnerable and making a real difference in the lives of others. The story of Messi's lottery win, and the battle that followed, would go down in history not as a tale of wealth or celebrity, but as one of integrity, perseverance, and the pursuit of justice. It showed the world that even in a world dominated by wealth and fame, one person, one voice, could make a difference. In the end, Messi had won more than just the lottery. He had won the respect and admiration of millions for his courage, his unwavering principles, and his commitment to making the world a fairer place for everyone. Thank you very much, see you in the next video.